Hello and welcome back to DCW. I'm recording this today on July 31st, 2025. It is the week of SummerSlam, but before we get to that, let's go ahead and jump into Raw this week and talk about what's going on. So we start with the Hogan tribute, of course. They do that whole rigmarole, RIP, and then we move on to Jay. Uh, Jay comes out, we yeet a little bit. Paul Heyman interrupts him. This is where I want to get into it. Paul Heyman cuts this promo on Jay, which before we get too deep, Paul, why are we lying about Santa? What's happening, brother? At least let the kids go to sleep, man. It's 8 o'clock. The show just started. Wait till like 9:30 or so. Let the kids go to bed. Then we can have the Santa talk, okay? It's despicable heel work. Despicable heel work. But he's trying to distance Jay from Roman, gives him the whole family spiel. Family's going to leave you high and dry and whatnot. Jay has a very Jay rebuttal about the whole thing. He's always going to go for his family. Fair enough. Jay was really blown up the whole promo. I'm not sure what that was about. Kind of took a little bit out of it for me, but yeah, it was weird. He was really blown up. But one thing I want to harp on is Paul Heyman. Maybe I'm looking into this too much, but Paul Heyman hits him with I think a new one. It's not a spoiler. It's not a guarantee. It's a prophecy. He said straight from the Oracle. Roman, the family leaving you high and dry. Essentially, it's not a spoiler. It's not a prediction. It's the prophecy. And I like that. I think I like that. And I'm curious, is that going to be the next iteration of Paul? Is he the Oracle now? You know, he's been around the block. He's seen a thing or two. He's now an Oracle. He's not the advocate. These aren't predictions. They're spoilers. These aren't spoilers. They're not prophecies. I think that's a cool direction to go in. I hope he does keep that. Um, again, maybe I'm looking at that a little too much. Maybe that was just a one-off. What he thought fit better, but we shall see. I did also was partial to Jay's rebuttal there at the end. Is on your ass. Whatever happens is on your ass, and I don't know. Judging by the end of the night, I don't know if that much is going to happen to Jay and Roman or to the Bron Brons. I think Jay and Roman have their work cut out for them. I'll go ahead and jump to that. Let's talk about what was going on there at the end of the night. Jay takes on Bronson Reed in the main event. That match, as a match, does not last very long before we get the interruption from Bron Breakker. And I swear, Bron Breakker's spear gets better every time I see it. I don't know that I'm ever going to get tired of Bron Breakker doing the spear, and I think if I was on the WWE roster right now, or just a professional wrestler in general, I'm not using a spear anymore. I'm done spearing people, because Bron Breakker's spear is better than anybody's, and I'm not putting myself in that wheelhouse. I'm not putting myself to be compared to that. Braun comes out. They beat on Jay a little bit. Roman comes out to try to make the save. Braun spears the shit out of Roman. Spears him out of his boots twice. It does look like for a minute that Roman and Jay are gonna get something out of this, and then sure enough, the Bron Brons come back, lay them both out. They both each get a tsunami individually for their troubles. End up outside the ring, and Bron Breakker starts shaking his head around, looking like shades of 08, 09, 2010 Randy Orton. The little The little head shakes. He's coming in and out there. I think the Steiner was eating at him. The Steiner started eating at the back of his brain, and he starts shaking. It's a little too much Papa Pump in him, you know. Hops out, spears them both through the barricade, and then more literally spears Roman out of his shoes, and that Bronson Reed comes up and takes his shoes away. Now, this whole thing, it's interesting to me that one, Bron Breakker is now the seeming leader of this group. He just came in and took over. Bronson Reed doesn't seem to have an issue with that. And maybe this is an order from Seth Rollins. Maybe he is in discussion with the two that, you know what, I'm gone. Bron Breakker's the future of this business. I've said that. He's going to be the leader while I'm away. And have Paul Heyman there to guide him. Or maybe Braun and Paul are going into business for themselves a little bit and just taking it over. You know, Seth's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Sure, Paul is carrying Seth's Money in the Bank briefcase, but I think I'm not the only one that's going to say that when this is over with, Paul's going with Bron Breakker. I don't see a future where Braun and Seth break up and Paul goes with Seth. I think this is absolutely the next Paul Heyman guy is Bron Breakker. So are we getting a taste of that now? Are we getting a little bit of like, hey, while Seth's away, the dogs will play, as they may say. And does that come back to bite them a little bit when Seth comes back? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know how long Seth's going to be out. Maybe this is just to keep him busy while Seth is away. Or maybe we're going to see Seth this weekend. You never know. I don't actually think that's very likely, but you never know. Could be. See if there's anything else here. Oh, the shoes. I would go back to the shoes. Again, touching on Bronson Reed is seemingly okay with just being the muscle. He doesn't want to be the leader of this group, at least for the time being. I think that's a fine play for him. Interested to see if he's still sticking around when Braun and Seth break up, where his allegiance may lie, or if he just splits off and goes his own way. I think we're a few months from all that, but I do think we're laying the groundwork for that now. With Bronson seemingly being okay with Bron Breakker, it leads me to believe that he's cool with him. Unless this is an order from Seth coming down, it leads me to believe that the Bron Brons may stick together when this is over with. Maybe Seth turns babyface because Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed turn mega heel on him and they're on their own. But anyways, back to the shoes. I'd like that bit. Stealing Roman's shoes, it was crazy. Notice he didn't touch Jay's white Air Forces though. He knew better than to touch Jay's Air Forces. That would have given the main event Jay Uso too much power. But after seeing this, I'm not sure how this match is going to go this weekend. Going into it, I thought this was a Jay and Roman win one way or another. But this week, I don't know. As the days have gone on, I've thought about it a little bit more. I think we might be getting a clean win from the Bron Brons, as clean as they can get. I'm sure there will be some little shenanigans, but I don't know that anybody's getting hit with a chair or the briefcase or anything. I think we may get hold on to the ref while I spear this dude out of his boots when I'm not supposed to be in there or something like that. Knock the ref out and they jump him, but I don't know that we're getting a very screwy finish here. I think this may be pretty straight up. I could be wrong. Been wrong before. But I think we might be making Bron Brons look pretty damn strong this weekend. And if these guys do get the clean victory, I think that does do a lot for them, especially with Bron Breakker's sort of promo he cuts over Roman after he gets tsunami'd, where no mic in hand, just talking to Roman more or less, that everything you had is mine now. The ring is mine. These ropes are mine. This cameraman is mine. You used to command all of that. You had the power, and you don't anymore. It's mine now. I'm here to take it from you. It's basically what he's saying. He's saying that this is over. He's saying I'm the big dog now. You know, they bark for me. I think a clean win this weekend would do that a lot of good. Now, maybe they don't win. Maybe there's a Roman J sort of pull out the win, and they can still look great. I think Bronson and Bron Breakker can look really good coming out of that, but I think it does them more good to get a semi-clean victory. Again, I don't think it's going to be no interference, center of the ring, 1, 2, 3, but I don't think we get any weapons involved. I think we get a semi-clean win here. But moving on in the night, we go to the AJ and Kabuki Warriors versus the Judgment Day. Good match, a lot of fun. I love seeing AJ Styles in the ring anytime, and Dom's looking great. Of course, he's now cleared for this weekend, so we will have an intercontinental title match. Speaking on that, I don't think AJ wins here. I think Dom retains, and that plays into something we can talk about in a little bit. I'm going to run down the SummerSlam card, but I think Dom retains this weekend. Now, is it going to be screwy? I'm sure it is. But I think Dom retains here. I just don't know that it's time to take that title off of him. I know AJ's getting long in the tooth and that his career may not be going on for much longer, at least in the WWE, but I don't think it's time yet. I think Dom needs to keep that title a little longer. So, next bit, we see Grayson Waller come out and from earlier in the day talking to Sheamus. They end up in a match. Grayson Waller's just hanging out with the New Day. And really the only thing I want to bring up here is what are we doing with Grayson Waller? I know the whole Austin Theory situation sort of derailed that a little bit now that he's supposedly injured. But do we have a plan for him? I don't know how much more I can see of him just like show up and get beat up. I think we need to see some more promo work or something. Because I think we were already on this path of seeing Waller job out a good bit. And I know he's mostly comedic relief, but I'm kind of done seeing it. I don't want to see it anymore. It feels like time filler. I just don't need to see it. We move on to Lyra Valkyria and her Becky Stompers. Which, what a term, what a fit. Lyra's cutting her promo, talking about I think it's a street fight or no disqualification match, essentially. Talking about how she's seen everything Becky's done. She knows what Becky's capable of, but Becky doesn't know what she's capable of because she's never done one of these, and maybe Lyra doesn't even know what she's capable of. And not the most believable promo in my opinion. Is fine. Who am I to judge? But I think where it gets interesting is Becky comes out. They play the music. Lyra's looking down the ramp. Becky no shows. Okay, Becky's not there. Becky's behind her with the kendo stick. Lyra, Spidey senses it, I guess. Runs, hits the rope, comes back, kicks Becky straight in the teeth. Takes the kendo stick that Becky was holding, starts wailing on her with it. I think Becky does get back for a second, but not for long. Lyra gets the best of her again, boom, and breaks the kendo sticks all sorts of splintered and sends Becky packing up the ramp. And one thing I notice is that in all these interactions, and even in the matches they've had, really is Lyra is getting the best of Becky way more often than not. That being said, I don't think she gets the title this weekend. And I think I said this last week. I think we're going to see a Bayley heel turn. I think we saw Bayley later in the night, super depressed that, you know, she didn't have her Mania match. She got screwed out of her Mania match, and she's not going to be on SummerSlam either. And I think with her character in this position, there's a couple ways she could go. You could either try to build it into a super white meat babyface run, or you could turn her heel. She's pissed. She got screwed out of WrestleMania. She got screwed out of an Intercontinental title. I think if we look back a few weeks, Lyra screwed her out of a title shot, her out of winning the title, not necessarily on purpose, maybe. That was debatable, I think, in the moment. Lyra gets her disqualified. She doesn't get the title. And they had a triple threat match, I think, after that, or Lyra and Bayley had their match, and Bayley lost. She never really got her revenge, I think, fully. And I think there's a way, I think there's a good likelihood that Bayley looks at this and goes, "Nah, to hell with you. You know, I'm over it." Turns heel and comes out and costs Lyra her match this weekend. Because I don't know that I see it being time to take the belt off Becky. But I do think we got to get out of this somehow. And I think you do that by turning Bayley heel and have Bayley and Lyra feud. And I think Bayley comes out of that and goes after Becky and gets the title eventually. I think Lyra can move on. And you know, we're supposed to be coming up on a draft. And I think after that is maybe when we end up with a draft. Lyra gets moved to Raw Lyra gets moved to SmackDown and she could go after the U.S. title. Or move on up to the main event scene. I'm okay with that too. But I do think Bayley needs to turn heel. I think her current babyface run is really not doing it for me. And not even that's necessarily her fault, I think. I think she's gotten the bad end of the stick ever since turning babyface with the damage control stuff last year. I think she got the bad end of the stick, and that her stuff wasn't given a lot of time. That her feuds haven't been given a ton of time that some others have gotten. So they really didn't get to build as much straight out of the gate with that one. And ever since then, I haven't really felt the momentum ever get to really build behind her. And I think maybe it's time, you know what? Send her heel again. Just make her mean, you know? Or if not, she's got to go away for a little bit. And that's okay. Maybe she goes away for a couple months and comes back at Survivor Series and stays babyface. Maybe that's the option. And if that's the case, I don't know what happens this weekend, because I even if that doesn't happen, I think Becky retains. Just not sure it's time to take that belt off of her yet. I think she needs to have another feud, unless she's going to go away for a while as well. But we move on to the next segment. It's Karrion and Sammy. Well, Sammy's supposed to be having an interview with Corey Graves. Karrion Kross, of course, comes up and interrupts that. Tells him that, you know, he thought about just coming out here and blasting him with a steel pipe, but then he wouldn't make it to SummerSlam. That doesn't really work for Karrion Kross. And the crux of it is Kross wants Sammy to say that he was right. He was telling the truth. And I think what he means by that, I don't know that it's ever been explicitly said, but he does spell it out in this promo, and I'm not sure he had before, that Sammy's just like everybody else. He's not better than Karrion. Nobody's better than him. And I think that's really the crux of it, is that nobody's better than Karrion Kross is what he really wants. But he wants Sammy to admit that he's just like everybody else. I think it seems like this Karrion Kross character is mad at baby faces for being so plucky. That you can't always be nice and the good guy. You know, there's got to be a mean streak in you. And that's what he wants to see out of Sami Zayn, is that mean streak. He wants to see him lose it. or at least admit to Karrion Kross that he's right. My pick for this weekend is that, and this is, I think Kross wins this. I think he needs to win this. I don't know that Sami needs to win this. I think Kross needs to win this, and I'm actually worried that Kross loses this. He's a little dead in the water, unless we've got a hard pivot somewhere coming on this character, or a hard left turn. Maybe pivot's not the right word, but a hard left turn. That if he loses here, his first real on-camera feud in a while, what are we doing? What's the character then? If he needs everybody to tell him that he's right, and he can't get the first guy to tell him that, what are we doing? Does then Karrion need to go on a journey of self-reflection? Are we going to get that? That feels early. I think you get there, but I think you get there. Maybe you come back to Sami to do that. I don't think you do that now. And anything else feels dead in the water. I think it gets too convoluted for him. But yes, I'm hoping Karrion pulls out the win this weekend. I'm sure it'll be what it is. Some shenanigans, Scarlett get involved, whatever. Sami's got to say that Karrion was right. But we shall see. Next match, women's tag match. That was a lot of fun. Interested to see what happens with Io, Rhea this weekend. I don't think Rhea wins. I don't think Rhea pins Io. I think she can't beat Io. I thought I had some notes on that, but we'll get back to that later when I run down the card. I didn't think I thought the women's tag match was fun. Other than the segment at the end of the match, backstage, not a ton of really important things happening there, other than Stephanie back here looking like a superstar, which I think we're all aware she is and ready to see how high she goes, because they're going to strap a rocket on her and send her to the moon very soon, I think. Then we've got the Judgment Day and LWO tag title match. Fun match. That coast to coast, the guys from LWO hit was crazy. It was a lot of fun. We get 2 El Grande Americano interruptions in this match, so I guess we've got a third one now, who is reportedly Pete Dunne, possibly. I'm interested to see what we go for there. I don't know that we're going to continue to see that. I think that may have been a Pete Dunne Tyler Bate sort of trick coming in at some point. More just a tag team division sort of nuisance. And we see some more footage at the Judgment Day backstage before this. Roxanne gives Dom a switch 2, which, I get it. A new switch 2 would pull me as well. I can't lie. If Roxanne gave me a switch 2, I get it. I get it, Dom. I get it. Finn's really trying to push those two together as much as possible. And I'm starting to wonder, as we get sort of on through this more, and we're starting to tease maybe Liv coming back. Does this lead to a Dom Liv face turn? I think that's where we're going. And that's all going to depend on Mr. Dirty Dom, because I think we could turn Dom face any day now. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw that footage from AAA over the weekend, but that pop was insane. I know we were on, I think it was on, cell phone camera microphone, but it sounded like an 80s Hulk Hogan pop. Not to be, I guess that's a little topical, but um, I mean, just blowing out the microphone. They loved him. And I think we saw a little bit of that with the WrestleMania Intercontinental title win. Um, and, you could turn him face at any time, but at the same time, does Dom just go with Roxanne at the end of this and become like. Does Dom turn heel for a third time without ever turning face? I don't hate it. As I say, I did it first, but as I say it, I don't know that I hate it. Because who else turns heel 2 or 3 times in a row without turning face again? I think you do it. I think you give him mega ultra heat again. Because I think people are ready to cheer Liv again too. I think you just have him run. Just have him run down the roster. Just turn heel like 5 times with different women before we get a oh, what is that movie? I can't remember the name of the movie, but until we get a full on situation where he's 5 heel turns deep. We've rotated people in and out of the Judgment Day before it just finally can't take it anymore. You can't do it again. And we finally get a Dom babyface run. That being said, I don't know if that's gonna happen. I think we get Dom and Liv turn face whenever this goes down. But you never know. Could we see Dom turn heel a third time? After that, we get Gunther Punk promo battle. I say promo battle. Gunther talks for a few seconds. Punk comes out and shuts the whole thing down. Doesn't let Gunther speak anymore for that. Even covers his mic so that he can't speak. All well and good. I would love to see Punk beat Gunther this weekend and get his world title shot or his world title run since he's been back. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Gunther's going to win, and I don't think it's going to be a spectacular finish. I don't think it's going to be a bad match. I think it's going to be actually a very good match. I think it's going to be a great wrestling match. I think they're both fantastic wrestlers. I think Gunther's just going to win. He's either going to choke him out or he's going to power bomb him like twice, and it's going to be it. That's going to be the match. Gunther's going to win. So that's what Gunther does right now. Gunther wins. And I say right now, it's what he's done his whole time in WWE. He's been, what's the stat? He's been a champion like 80% of his run or whatever else. He's just going to win. That's going to be it. Which I'm at odds with because I think I'm fighting a little bit of short-term, long-term storytelling here. I think short-term, I'm bored of it. I'm over it. I'm tired of seeing Gunther win. I would love to see him struggle a little bit more. I don't know that we've seen it yet. I think we need to see him lose and struggle with that loss. I think so far maybe a losing streak. We haven't seen that so far. He loses 1 or 2 matches here and there, and then he's right back in the title picture and he wins his title. Whatever title that is, whether it's the Intercontinental, move up to World Heavyweight, whatever. He hasn't struggled with any of his losses. He's lost and he moves on. But I'm over it. I want to see something else from the character. I want to see the character development happen there. I just don't think we're getting it now. That being said, it's hard to build a believable heel in the way Gunther is without doing what we're doing right now. And if he does start losing, we lose out on the level of heel and type of heel he is. He's very old school. He's classic heel. He doesn't pull a lot of shenanigans. Not since the Imperium wrapped up. He just wins. He just beats people up and wins. In a way, I think not super dissimilar to what we saw Karrion Kross do in NXT. He just beat people up and won. Just steamrolled everybody. Gunther doesn't steamroll everybody, but he's going to win. He's going to find a way to win. And I'm really going back and forth on whether or not I'm done seeing it. Because I think in the moment I feel done, and then I sit down and I think about it for 5 minutes, and I go, no, we need this. I think in the same way that Cody is a white meat babyface we haven't seen in a long time, I think Gunther is a no shenanigans, just gonna kick your ass heel that we don't get super often either. That being said, again, I still feel a little over it, but we'll see. Um, so, and then we go on to the main event, which we already covered. So let's run down the SummerSlam card real quick. Um, Saturday we got Gunther Punk, which I already covered. The Jelly Roll and Randy Orton tag. Uh, I think Jelly Roll and Randy win that. I'm hoping it's an entertaining match. I really don't know what to expect out of that. Jelly doesn't seem to move super great. He looks great. It's awesome that he's been able to lose weight, and he really seems committed to doing this. I'm just interested to see how much they actually use him in the match. Um, and it does look like Drew is going to make it. I know there was some worry early in the week that Drew wasn't going to make it into town, but it looks like he's back in the States. And yeah, I think Randy and Jelly take it either way. Hope it's a fun match. I'm sure Logan will pull some crazy jump out or some sort of super athletic move as he is wont to do. So it'll be entertaining. Looking forward to it all the same. Women's Tag Team Championship match. This is tied back into the Dom thing a little bit. This is what I was talking about. Where I think Dom retains this weekend, but I do think Raquel and Roxanne, I think they might drop the tag titles. I think that does a lot for the Charlotte Alexa Bliss tag team and move them along and keep that story going. That gets a little harder if they lose. Not impossible. They could lose and just have a little friendship bump on the road. Maybe they do become closer for it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Charlotte and Alexa lose but become closer in that loss. Maybe so. Maybe they get a short title reign and you do the same thing in 2 weeks when they drop the tag titles, or a month. They get a short reign and lose it, but then they become a little closer. But I think for Roxanne and Raquel to lose the title, Dom has to keep his. I think we can't lose most of the gold in the Judgment Day in one weekend. I just don't think we'll do that. So I think they either both retain or Raquel and Roxanne lose. And I think if they lose, I think we may be on the closer side to the Liv return than we think. I know there's reported she could be out for a while, but we haven't heard anything since then. And even if she's not coming back super soon, I think we are on that path. That puts you on the path to Liv coming back and the Roxanne Liv sort of blow off. Yeah. And then Saturday we've got Roman and the Bron Brons. We covered that. Cross and Zayn, talked about that. Sunday, Naomi, Io Sky, and Rhea. Briefly mentioned. I think Naomi retains here. I think Io and Rhea at similar shades to WrestleMania, where they're paying too much attention to each other. Rhea's too focused on beating Io. She's not worried about Naomi as much as she is about beating Io, because she hasn't done that yet. And I don't think she does it this weekend either. I think we get that later on down the line in a singles feud, that Rhea finally has to get her win over Io. Yeah, I think Naomi retains. I think that it's also way too soon for her to lose that title. I think Naomi retains. Becky Lyra, we talked about that. Solo and Jacob. Solo retains. There's obviously going to be shenanigans. I think it is a steel cage match, but there's no way Solo loses that title right now, especially with, I don't know if you guys saw on SmackDown last Friday, but it looked like Solo and the other three were talking to a mysterious fifth member. I'm not sure who. I couldn't quite make it out. I kept trying to zoom in and look. I couldn't figure out who it is, but there's a fifth person, I think, in that his group, the MFTs. I think we may be getting a fifth member here. If not now, soon. Either way, I don't think Solo loses that title. And we're going to see some shenanigans again. I don't think Big Jim's going to be enough. Dom and AJ, we talked about that. The tag team TLC match. Very excited to watch that. I think that's going to be a great match. And I think the guys in that division have really done a great job of making that division interesting to watch. I do think they're a little short-served on like a real story other than, man, we all just want that damn title so much. I think that's gotten us really far. I'm interested to see what we do out of this. I think I'm hoping this is the sort of the real blow off of that sort of era of this tag team division, and we can get some real storylines coming out of this. That being said, this is going to be a banger of a match, and I think this will probably be what starts off Sunday to really give it a kick in the ass to get through the rest of the night for the first 2-day SummerSlam. And then finally, we've got Cody Cena. Really excited to see this. I'm really excited to see how John comes out because, Cody keeps talking about it. He's talked about it in interviews outside of WWE programming that he wants the John Cena. He wants the full run down to the ring, full Titantron. He wants John Cena. He wants to beat John Cena in this street fight. And I think we're really going to start seeing a possible heel turn from Cody here. I think he's going to go too far. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to beat the tar out of John Cena. And we're going to keep... We've already seen shades of it, like even with the contract signing last week, knocking him out to make him sign it. That sort of idea. And, what he did with Randy. I think we've already seen the crumbs be laid, but I think we're really going to get a big jump here, especially with it being John Cena, because the people are starting to cheer for John Cena, I think, a bit more. And I think we've been seeing Cena slowly come back around to that. I think we're going to find out that Cena doesn't really want to be a heel. I think we're going to get a redemption from Cena sooner rather than later, and it's that he's been scared that he couldn't do what he thought he needed to do this year without doing things this way. And that he wanted that 17th title run, and he didn't think he could do it. So we got what we got. And as a part of that, he was ashamed of himself and as such took it out on the audience. And I think that's where we're going to end up with this. And as part of that, Cody's going to go too far. He wants that title back. And up to this point, everything he's done before John Cena, he's gotten cheered for. I think that's going to end up being the downfall here, right? Everything he's done has been justified. And it's been okay because the audience has cheered him. I don't know if they're going to cheer him this weekend. He's even mentioned it again on interviews outside of WWE that this might be an away game this weekend. He doesn't know. And I wonder if they're not going to call it out there to some degree. That if he starts taking a turn, I say taking a turn. If he starts beating up Cena too much, maybe the chairs come out and it's a little too aggressive. Maybe they decide to pull the trigger and he goes and he, bloodies John Cena or something like that. And he goes too far and the fans do turn on him. And I think that's when we get a very compelling story from Cody of, I didn't do anything different. Nothing changed. I can't be wrong because I'm in tune with the fans. The fans love me. I do what I do for you. And you turned and you're booing me now. But I was right. I just did what I said I was going to do. I said I was going to beat up John Cena and take that title back. I said I was going to beat John Cena. And I did it and you booed me for it. And I think that's when we get more of a heel turn. And I think it's not going to be just like that. I think it's going to play out a little longer over time. But I think this may be where we start to get a bit of a double turn. And then after Cena loses his title, he's going to come back and say what's really been on his mind. And apologize to the fans and turn babyface. And if we don't get that now, I think that's coming sooner rather than later. Because he's going to finish this year as a babyface. There's no way we get a full year or we get Cena walking out the door as a heel. I don't think he's walking out with the title or as a heel. So, yeah, I think that's all my thoughts for this week. Would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. And yeah, enjoy SummerSlam. Enjoy his first 2-night SummerSlam. It's going to be a great weekend. Looking forward to watching it myself. And have a good one. I'll see you guys next week on DCW.